Welcome to welcome to Cash Flow Confidence Live. Today, here's a question that might make you uncomfortable. When somebody asks you, what do you say, I'm an accountant, I'm a fractional CFO, and you give them a job title? Or do you say, I help businesses master their cash flow so they can grow profitably? One's a title, the other is transformation. Today, we're diving into why leading with your skill, not your title, is a game changer. And it's a game changer for attracting clients and the right clients and to building a thriving advisory consultancy practice that is growing and that you are happy with. But first, let me give a shout out to our sponsor. Pivot 2026 is the Cash Flow Bootcamp happening in May 2026. This is unlike anything you've ever experienced because we will be hardcore focused all morning long. And then in the afternoon, you're free and you go work on the materials and have access to tutorials in the afternoon. If you want more information, go to pivot2026.com. But let's go back and talk about these core teaching points that I want to talk to you about that's so important. So here's the problem with generic titles. Fractional CFO or accountant is a commodity position. Right now, the market is being flooded with fractional CFOs. The people who've been doing fractional CFO works because they used to be a CFO of a publicly held company or a privately held company, and they've done all the different things that need to be done. And by the way, there's at least 6 different types of CFOs are getting killed by people who have great skills as a bookkeeper or as an accountant, but they don't really qualify as a CFO. They've never done the work for a company. They've never had that responsibility. So there's a flood out there, and clients don't actually understand what it means. And it's getting more confusing as more and more people enter the marketplace. So it also creates some price competition, but the differentiation factor is the biggest issues. And clients generally don't hire based on just credentials. They want to know outcomes. So generic titles describe who you are, not what you deliver. So here's the power of skill-based positioning. Cash flow advisory, which is what I do, is a value-based position. Why? Because I speak directly to a specific client pain point, and you can do that too. You can become a cash flow advisor. That's why I'm here. This is why I'm doing cash flow confidence, is so you can become a confident cash flow advisor. Why am I creating my own competition? There's so many companies. There are millions of companies, tens of millions of companies that need this help. I'm not worried. I hope you become a better advisor than I am. Not for any particular reason. We just need great advisors out there. But this positions you as a specialist, not a generalist. And this is what can command premium pricing because you're solving a concrete problem, not providing generic help. So, generic help, for example, budgeting. Everybody can do budgeting. If you've been around, you do a family budget, you can do a business budget. So, that's an example of something that's very generic. So, you can command pricing and it creates differentiation. So, the specific skills describe the transformation that you create. let me bring up a difference. You're not interested in cash flow? Fine. If you know inventory, you are an inventory optimization specialist. That's better than, just a generic title of I'm an operations person. You're saying what you do and what the outcome will be. Let's talk about the confusion. Sorry, throat's getting dry. Client's sitting there going, okay, I'm hearing what you say, but I already have a bookkeeper. I have an accountant. I don't need a CFO. People hear CFO, they think big companies. I don't need one. Or they say, what exactly does a fractional CFO do? Because maybe they've met CFOs that are startup CFOs, or they've met CFOs that are for doing um, public offerings. Not many of you who are listening do public offerings. It's a very specialized area. So it creates some confusion. But when you come in and close that gap by saying, I help businesses avoid cash flow crises and build predictable profitability, everybody can relate to that. And everybody wants to avoid a cash flow crisis. Whether they need you or not is a different issue. But this is a skill everybody needs within their company. And if they don't need you today, there will come a point for most small businesses, we're talking from zero up to about 10, $20 million, they will hit a cash flow crisis. That's the market I address. If you're dealing with bigger companies, yep, they're going to have a cash flow crisis eventually too. So you're speaking to pain that they are experiencing and they probably have experienced within the last 6 months. It makes talking to you more obvious. So let me give you an example. Hi, I'm David, with a fractional CFO with 15 years of experience in financial management and strategic planning. And you end up with, okay, that's great. It doesn't say what you do. It says it's a job description and what your experience was in the past. It doesn't say anything about results. When you sit here and approach it from a skills base, let me go through that one. Hi, I'm David. I help business owners who are making money or profitable, but always running out of cash. I specialize in creating 13-week cash flow forecasts that give you complete visibility and predictability and control over your money. That could be response of, that's great, I'll keep you in mind. But people have this issue and they'll say, exactly, that's my problem. I've seen that. I've been there. How do you do that? That's the reaction you're looking for. And so then you can talk about a framework you have. For me, I talk about my 5-step framework. And this is what I teach to the people in the Cash is Clear Advisor program. Step number 1, it's about mindset. We think about cash, not accounting. Number 2, we create a 13-week realistic model of what their cash flow is going to look like in the future based on past performance and what they know about their clients in the marketplace. Number 3, we learn how to we manage the cash flow. I could say it in the first person, talking to a client. I then show you how to manage your cash flow, which is simply moving expenses out, pulling money that you are owed in, or figuring out a way to use your own assets to manage the cash within your company. And then number 3, I will mentor you. I will mentor not only you, you're the owner, you don't want to deal with this by yourself. You will have other people in the company that are impacting cash flow, whether it's operations, it is sales, marketing, human resources, whatever area it is that we identify as a root cause. I'll be doing mentoring with those key people so you're not bearing the burden alone. Then finally, and this is the fun part, you have enough cash, we can start implementing maximization strategies that not only maximize cash flow, but they will also maximize your profits and available cash so you can spend it and not just look at it on paper. So you can see that listing what you do and showing the transformation you're going to create for them within their company is powerful, powerful, powerful. All right. Let's talk about some additional key points. When you're talking about skills, you become a magnetic personality. People want to learn more. They will start asking you questions. They will not have heard of this before. You are no longer a generic commodity in the marketplace. Number two, it's premium pricing. When you are out there and saying, okay, I'm an accountant or I'm a bookkeeper or even a fractional CFO at this point in time is becoming more and more of a commodity, you start competing. When you are a specific advisor, you can command a premium and you can position yourself in different ways. It doesn't just have to be cash flow. It could be, I am a startup advisor. I take companies that are just starting up that have this is from zero to name a top level revenue and show them how to function, show them their finances and what's important and get rid of the stuff that's not important. So that's another example of skills based. Finally, you create authority when you lead with skills. A title is a title. It's what you call yourself. However, the skills are what the clients experience and what they will experience with you. And in the age when Google's reviewing and now we've got AI going out there and scraping, you are looking for to tell everybody what you do and to build your authority by talking towards that. So I've got some thoughts for you, some steps you can take. Number one, whatever you're doing today, rewrite your positioning. And I'm just going to give you a hint. So I help, and name your specific type of business that you help, who struggle with, and name a problem, by, and then give your specific skill or solution so they can, and give your outcome. Rewind this if you need to, but that's the model. I'm going to give you an example. I help manufacturing companies between $1 million and $10 million in revenue who struggle with unpredictable cash flow by implementing 13-week cash flow models and then showing the team how to manage their cash flow and make it predictable. And then we find root cause issues to maximize cash flow. So you never run out of money. So when I teach this, people say, well, don't I need an MBA? I just had that question with somebody who was in the middle of an MBA program. She decided to drop it because she had so much experience, it becomes secondary to the skills that she has. And so the question is, doesn't somebody want a CFO? Well, do you want a CFO or do you want somebody who can get you specific results? Let me give you another example. I am working with a client who worked with a specialty advisor for his industry. Well, this advisor just kept talking about, well, this is the ratios you've got to have. This is your revenue per client that you should have. And he put more and more pressure onto my client to focus on numbers and focus on industry standards because he was a expert in the automobile industry. And he was struggling with cash. We put into place, and I was introduced by a bookkeeper who doesn't do cash flow advisory. And I said, I'm not sure if I can help you, but I can put together a 13-week cash flow model and look at it. So we put together the 13-week cash flow model. That was my skill. I didn't tell him I could help him. I never know until I see what's going on in a business. I didn't have access to his financials. We put that together. I showed it to him. I said, we answered questions about an hour and a half, 2 hour phone call. And I got paid to do that. I said, okay, there you go. And he said, well, can I talk to you again next week? I said, sure, let's talk again next week. Wasn't sure where he wanted to go with this. Well, when we talked a week later, just understanding and having a mindset shift that he was looking for bringing cash into the business, they had their best week ever. It's a small shift. I wasn't selling my title, I was selling the skills. So when I look at this and saying, well, isn't this just semantics? It's still CFO work. Well, you could look at it like that. Do CFOs do cash flow forecasting? Some of them do. And do I do more than cash flow modeling, etc.? Yes, I do. This is where I specialize. And you might have a big skill set. Pick one, anchor on it, and start there. That's your entree into a client. And then you can help them as you find more and more issues for them to help them with. So I am going to now give you a call to action to get started, at least thinking about cash flow advisory by downloading my ebook. If you're on a wide screen, you should be able to see this little banner. It says CIC60.com. That's www. Cash is Clear. It's not really Cash is Clear, but CIC60.com. You will get an ebook with 24 strategies, some of which you've probably never heard of before, but they're all within your client's control and they're all profitable. And it might say, David, but it's always within the client's control. Nope, it's not. Too often, the popular cash flow strategies are totally dependent upon somebody else making a decision to make that cash flow strategy work. They're outside of control. And often, the cash flow strategies are short-term positive, long-term negative. Get the book, the ebook, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. It has been great talking to you. And remember, in a world where everybody's calling themselves a fractional CFO or everybody's calling themselves an accountant, or if you're in a completely different industry, you probably have the same thing. Financial professionals who differentiate themselves and lead with specific, clear skills are getting recognized. They don't just describe what they are, they describe what they deliver. Fearless cash flow advisors don't hide behind titles. They own the skills and use them, and they create transformations. So until next time, keep building your confidence and delivering fearless cash flow advisory. I'm David Safir, and this has been Cash Flow Confidence Live. See you next week.